On today's show, we talked to Theo Pinson yesterday. What did he tell us about Luka and Kidd's relationship and the Mavs' chemistry that makes them different this year? We'll talk about all that and more on today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
The Dallas Mavericks are NBA champions. Bang! Bang! It's good!
And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, including YouTube, where you can subscribe to the show. Thanks to everybody that listened to our episode yesterday. Sent us some great notes. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. Check out PrizePicks.com. Use the promo code NBA or go to the App Store and download the app today. PrizePicks is daily fantasy made easy. And joining me, as always, my co-host, contributor, and writer at Mavs.com, the Fruit Cup King, the One More Thing King. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
Theo Pinson, baby. Love Theo. First off, it's an honor to have Theo on the pod. Love this guy. A lot of you guys know I love the Tar Heels. Grew up big Tar Heels fan. So had fun, a little pre-pod recording, reminiscing on the title game.
Theo, remember when you guys won the title? Theo, remember when North Carolina won the title?
Dude, I have your player tee in my closet.
Did you really?
Will you? No, I don't.
Oh, that'd been funny if you whipped that out and was like, hey, look.
Hey, will you sign this? But no, it was cool. He really was one of my favorite Tar Heels. Like, he obviously wasn't a first rounder draft pick type of guy like a Harrison Barnes or something like that.
He's not Rashad McCants. I mean, come on.
He's not Rashad McCants, but he was just like the most
He's not
fun
Sean
dude.
May.
But anyway, I also want to give a shout out really quick to Joseph Honeycutt.
Okay.
Bro,
long time listener.
wash your hair. Make sure you're scrubbing really good in the shower, because he tweeted us yesterday. He said, my wife said the intro to our pod haunts her every morning as she wakes up when he's in the shower for work, that he listens to Locked On Mavs. I don't know what to think about. I mean, does Locked On Mavs hit harder in the shower, or I don't know. I don't know. So shout out my guy listening to our pod in the shower.
That is 100% not something I thought I was going to hear you say today.
Who subscribed to the pod based off the Theo interview?
Hold on, we have a clean recap.
and it's just now, and we're like, hey, let me get the second dose of these guys. Let me try these guys out a second time. And now this is what they're hearing.
Does Locked On Mavs hit better in the shower? Like, okay. All right. Well, shout out to Mrs. Honeycutt. We appreciate you letting your husband listen.
Honeycutt.
Thanks to everybody that reached out. But we talked to Theo Pinson yesterday. I had him on the show. If you haven't listened to that episode, this episode will not be as good as that one, because that was maybe one of the best Locked On Mavs episodes we've ever done. It was absolutely incredible. He's a great guest, and he told us some really great stuff. One of the things he told us was about Luka and Jason Kidd, how their relationship is, and how Kidd coaches Luka, and how Luka, is allowed to have his input into things, and how Jason Kidd coaches everybody by saying, make the read first. That was the big thing I think that I learned from it yesterday, was that Jason Kidd coaches and says to his players, make the read first, and then try and run the play. He would much rather you make the correct read and make a play that's available to you than just run the play, right? And I made a joke during the podcast, but that is a stark difference to where it was before with a former coach.
Yes. And Nick's not referring to Avery Johnson. So
or Don Nelson.
Or Don. But no, I thought that part was so key when he went in on and he said that line. It was like, he kind of paused a little bit and he said, man, Kidd and Luka, they have such a good relationship between the two. It's like, for a guy, for all the guys to just recognize that they're kind of connecting on this, even how you worded the question, kind of the follow-up, you're obviously trying to word it in a way to where it's not like, hey, they were talking above your head, but It's like when these two brainiacs of NBA guys like connect at this level that you're watching. You're like, how are they like really talking like, and connecting this way? It seems like they do have that connection on the court, but it seems like they trust each other so much off the floor that has built this unique relationship between the two. And it was just cool hearing another like teammate perspective of that.
To hear somebody that's literally sat there and listened to these conversations, right? And said that Luka respects that Jason Kidd can see plays before they happen, right? I mean, it's like, the Jedi analogy, I'm going to make it again. It's like they see things before it actually happens. And Luka and Kidd both have that. I mean, Kidd was one of the best in NBA history at doing that, right? He's like top, what is he, top 5 in assists all time? He's like, top 5 and he's not 5.
Him talking like, dude, Jason Kidd's our coach. Like, because these guys like, no, they remember him playing. Like, even, I mean, we do the comparison to Rick, but it's like, nobody's out here reminiscing on, somebody's like calling their dad, hey, do you remember when Rick played, for Boston? Do you remember any of those games? Because no one else watched those games. So
no, and not many people remember Rick Carlisle as a player. They remember that he was maybe on the team with Larry Bird, but they don't. I mean, Jason Kidd was his number 2 all time in assists.
Yeah. So I mean, a lot of you guys, I mean, us including, we watched him with those, Nets, Kenyon Martin, Richard Jefferson, BC. That was fun.
The other thing that I think stood out to me was about the team chemistry. And we've talked about this for a couple years now. They've been growing the team chemistry. And for those that, didn't like the idea of like, oh, let's just keep it together, keep the powder dry, keep the chemistry together, continuity, all that. It's starting to pay off because this Mavs team could not play the defense they are playing right now if they did not have chemistry like this, if they did not have interconnectivity, if they did not have a shorthand that they can communicate with each other. It just could not happen. To have the infrastructure already built in, I don't think it's a coincidence that the guys that are behind some of the Mavs' best defenses, like Maxey, Luka, Dorian, and insert Brunson, even like insert whoever, it's been on the team for like the last 3 years.
Bertans.
And it's been guys that have been around for a little while. I think that matters. And the chemistry, Pinson talking about how everybody's here to win. Everybody just wants to win on this team. There are no egos in the way. I think that stands true. I did not, my BS meter did not go off when he said that, because I think that's true about this team.
Oh yeah. And I love how he brought it up himself before we even asked about it, of how much they stand up. And I love that he's like, yeah, we're always standing up over there. Like, they're always barking out stuff and hollering, not just hollering at the players, the opposing team players, but like hollering out like defensive stuff and, all of that. And that's just a testament to, man, it's how close they are. There's just something different about this Mavs team that I haven't really felt this way about a team that we've covered in years. Maybe since Luka's been, maybe that first year, which was Dirk's last, and they were tight, but it was a unique year because it was Dirk's last and like all of that. But like now they just all seem so tight as a unit that it's so cool.
They do. And I think that interconnectivity and the bench just being bought in all the time matters for this team, right? Because it's everyone's locked in. Pinson said one of the reasons why I stand up, basically said it's more about me than it is about them, because if my number is gonna get called, I need to be invested in this team. I need to know what's going on. How many timeouts do we have? What plays is the other team running? What do I need to know when I go in this game? And everybody's thinking that. And like Tim Hardaway, he may be in a position at some point when he comes back and the Mavs are just like in a first round series. That is totally possible for him to come back at that point. Marquise Chris, kind of the same thing. And if those guys aren't locked in and paying attention, then what Theo Pinson said is, if you're just sitting on the bench, sometimes you just don't realize what's going on. You just kind of like zone out and you're just not connected to the team. And so I think that's super important that I think Pinson has started this culture of that. And Tim Hardaway Jr. is absolutely one of those guys with him that's always standing and up. And I think he's staying locked in just in case his number does get called in the playoffs.
Yeah, 100%. I like that, he brought up the hype man, thing that, we brought it up, what Dinwiddie said about him.
He's more than a hype man, Isaac.
Yeah. Well, I thought that was, it was a fun interaction on the pod, but I thought it was something on his side, like, hey, like, I'm a good basketball player too, you know, and it's just a good reminder for everybody out there. It's like, hey, we got these guys on the bench and they're making the best of it, but they're good too. They're not just, cheerleaders or hype men out there. But yeah, If you haven't listened to yesterday's pod, you got to go listen to it. It was honestly the most fun that we've had in an interview.
Sure.
And we've had a lot of random, bigger name people like Harrison Barnes been on our pod, Scott Tomlin, Mark Cuban. We have had different players through the years on the pod, front office people, media people. And like, honestly, I was racking my brain about all the different guests we've had on over the past 5 years. And I'm like, all of our media day, interviews with all the players, this year. I'm like, honestly, I think that was the most I've laughed. I haven't laughed as hard in a single moment of a pod of when he said the Gobert line about hitting Jerry West. Like that
what did he do to you?
I laughed. I immediately laughed so hard. And I'm like, that was so much fun, man. I just love that talking with him.
100%. Coming up, we're going to play a game of Whiteboard about the playoff matchups. Who is the most important non-Luka player in each of the potential matchups for the Mavs? We'll tell you who they are coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about Prize Picks. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. This is how it works. You pick 2 to 5 players and an over-under on their projections, and you can win up to 10 times what you put down on any entry. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. For tomorrow's games, we have a Charlotte versus Atlanta potential play-in game preview game. That one's pretty interesting. Trae Young, 28.5 is his over-under for his points. LaMelo, 19.5 is his over-under for his points. So if you want to pick the under on Trae Young and the over on LaMelo Ball, you can do that. Go ahead and put it down on Prize Picks. If I put down $20, I can win 40. If I put down $100, I can win 200. If I put $100 on and put on the power play, I could win $300 in that. So you can place that entry on Prize Picks. You can download the app. They have it for college basketball as well, so go check it out. And you can also get $50 for free if a player in your first Prize Picks entry scores a single point, but you have to use the promo code NBA. That's right. Get that exclusive offer. Use the promo code NBA. If your Prize Picks entry scores a single point, you'll get $50 for free. So go check it out, prizepicks.com. Also, download the app. Prize Picks, daily fantasy made easy. All right, Isaac Harris, let's play a game of Whiteboard. We write down our answers on a whiteboard. We show it on YouTube. We will tell you what it is on the podcast, so you won't miss anything. It's just more fun to see on the podcast. All right, play along with us at home as well. The most important non-Luka player in each of the matchups in the playoffs, I think, are very important because this is going to tell us how the Mavericks are going to play against these different teams, about how, what their game plan is against some of these teams, because each role player on the Mavs represents, to me, a different thing. Dorian represents like the outside shooting and the one-on-one defense. I think Maxey represents more of the team defense and represents the role players shooting actually hitting threes, and the guys that are on a cold streak hitting threes. Dinwiddie and Brunson represent the getting downhill and like attacking and the playmaking of the Mavs that are all outside of Luka. Dwight and Maxey represent the interior defense that matters. Like all these different guys. Reggie Bullock, with guarding the second best player on the team, right? All these guys matter in these different ways. And so I was curious going through these. We're going to go through each of the 4 potential matchups and talk about who's the most important player. So let's start with the most obvious one, the Jazz. This is the team that the Mavs will probably face right now. They are tied in the standings with them, 42 wins and 26 losses. That is going to be fascinating to see who wins. The Mavs will most likely have to have a better record than the Jazz to get above them because they are not going to win that tiebreaker. We know that at this point because of all the tiebreakers. But the most important non-Luka player in the matchup against the Utah Jazz in the first round of the playoffs would be boom. Easy one. This is super easy. You said Dodo. I said Ferrari Doe. They are the same player. Why is Dorian Finney-Smith so important against the matchup against Utah?
Spoiler alert. It's going to be hard for me to do anybody except Dorian on any matchup, just because here's the thing. On offense, the key to the Mavs' success of going to the finals is Dorian Finney-Smith being able to hit threes at a 40% clip. Because they're going to get the open shots. Like that's a given. Like it's almost an automatic that when the times get tough in the playoffs, what's going to happen is the high pick and roll, Luka, Dwight, whatever it is. And Luka's going to get into the paint and Luka's going to make a decision. And either he's going to go for the bucket or most likely there's going to be open threes. And who's the player that teams are going to dare to shoot? Like teams are going to dare Dorian over Reggie Bullock. And I think that they would dare Dorian over Jalen Brunson. So if we're talking about the one guy that teams will probably leave open more than the other, 3 shooters if they're not involved in the pick and roll, it's going to be Dorian Finney-Smith. And so, like, if he's hitting, then what's happening? Like, what's the solution to? I mean, what's the poison other teams are picking? And then defensively, he's the key to everything with them trying to go small. Like, we know that the card in Kidd's back pocket is the small ball 5 with Dorian. And defensively, can he hold his own? Can he guard? Can he switch off on some of these bigs? Can he, he's going to guard? Like, if they play Memphis, they play Memphis, he's going to guard Ja. But there might be possessions against Utah where he might get switched off on Rudy Gobert, which nobody's really scared of that. But it's just, I think on both sides of the ball, it's really hard to find a role player. Ask it this way. What role player would you freak out the most if somebody got hurt? I think Dorian's the guy that would freak out because I think he's almost the most irreplaceable one.
Absolutely. I don't think I could say anything better than that. So let's move on to the next one. The most important non-Luka player in a matchup against the Golden State Warriors. This is sneakily like the second most likely one because the Mavs could fall to 6. Utah could maybe fall to Utah can maybe rise to 3rd in the Mavs face them then, but this is kind of the other most likely one. 3, 2, 2.5.
Well, I'm trying to do something else different because I really want to put Dorian for all 4, but
you got to do something different.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Oh, same again. We agree again. Spencer Dinwiddie to me is the most important player in this matchup, even more so than Dorian to me, because yes, Dorian is going to guard Steph, and obviously he's important. This doesn't mean he's not important, but I think Spencer Dinwiddie has to be able to take advantage of matchups in this game and has to be able to be a threat. In the first, he's played Golden State with the Mavs twice now, which is we have not had many matchups with him playing a team more than once. The first game, he played 31 minutes. He scored 24 points, had 5 assists. The Mavs won that game by 6 points. He was a plus 17 in that game. The Mavs bench has to take advantage of the Warriors bench. And Spencer Dinwiddie, I think, is the key to that. In the second game, the Mavs won by 9. He scored 17 points, had 7 assists, and was plus 14. In both those games, he was 2 of 4 from 3. He has to be hitting threes. He has to be that extra option because they don't have enough defensive players to lock down Luka, Brunson, and Dinwiddie, right? They have a couple where you can throw on, a couple of them, but one of those 3 guys has to be going, and I think for the Mavs, it's Dinwiddie.
Yeah, I won't say too much on this. I just think Golden State, especially if Clay is looking like he was the other night when he put up like 36 in that game, I think Golden State's going to be able to put up buckets. And Dorian would still be my pick on this, but I put Dinwiddie just for the fact of they're going to have to, I think they're going to have to score to beat, like score a lot to beat Golden State. Like, your defense is good, but you're also playing Steph and Clay and this team that's a well-oiled machine. So I just put the second. I think the second best creator scorer on the team. He's probably a better scorer than Brunson is.
Absolutely. All right. Next one. The most important non-Luka player in a matchup against the Grizzlies would be you said Dorian. I said Dwight.
Dwight.
I think Dwight is the most important player in a Grizzlies series because the Mavericks, what the Grizzlies do better than anybody is rebound. they rebound better than anybody. They get out in fast break better than anybody. And Dwight has to at least hold his own a little bit against this Grizzlies team if they're going to play him in a first round series. This is pretty unlikely for them to face them at this point. A lot of things would have to move around, but to me, it's Dwight and Maxey. I did not give myself enough time to write both names, but it's those bigs against how the bigs are and the interior defense as well. They have to be able to guard the rim a little bit because the Jazz attack the rim and they get their own rebounds. That is huge. The Grizzlies attack the rim and they get their own rebounds. The Mavs have to be able to at least hold their own a little bit in there, or else it's just done against the Grizzlies.
Yeah, man, I don't want to play this Memphis team. They're so scrappy and they can switch, and Jaren Jackson can switch as a 5 and all that. I put Dorian, I think, because Dorian would get the Ja assignment. And could Dorian slow him down enough to where he's not averaging 40 in a series? And it can be more of a, hey, what they did against Tatum and they're the other guys. They have a guy that played down the street in college basketball that could hit some shots, and so I still pick Dorian.
Played for a team that I heard is the worst 9 seed that has ever played in the college basketball, like Locked On Bracket show. They said TCU is the worst 9 seed to ever play in the tournament. I was like, oh dang. Last one. This is a quick one. The most important non-Luka player in a matchup against the Denver Nuggets would be. Yeah, I put Dwight Maxey. Isaac put Dwight. 100%. The guy that's going to be guarding Jokic or trying to guard Jokic or at least making the initial defense, because against Jokic, you always throw a double. The Mavs, I think, would always throw a double, and there's no question that they would. And so at least the first guy, like the first wall of defense is going to matter a lot in that. And so it would be Dwight and Maxey. I think those guys matter a whole lot against the Nuggets. If they would face them, I can't imagine how they would face them. I guess Denver and the Mavs would have to pass the Jazz in that
I don't want to
situation.
think about facing them.
No, me either.
I don't have anything else to add. I think I would still lean Dorian at that, but
just lie to me.
but I would put I'd put Dwight just for the same reason. Can he like slow Jokic down just a little bit? That's the only thing.
They don't call him the one more thing king for nothing, ladies and gentlemen. All right, coming up.
Boban, close second.
Coming up, let's talk about some awards. Which award is most up in the air in the NBA? And the MVP will be. We'll answer both those questions coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about Built Bar. It's a protein bar. It tastes like a candy bar. Everybody has resolutions. Everybody has things they want to do. One of those things is you want to eat better. One of those things is probably you want to snack better. Let's get even more specific. You want to snack better. Built Bar helps you snack better. Sometimes late at night, I'm like, I just need one more thing. I just need to eat one more thing, and then I'll be good for the rest of the night. That thing has become a Built Bar for me. They have incredible flavors right now. The Churro Puffs. I've finished my box of Churro Puffs because they're so good. 140 calories, 17 grams of protein, 6 grams of sugar, and a bar covered in 100% chocolate with nice, fluffy marshmallow in the middle. Speaking of marshmallow, new flavor is back. Rocky Road with marshmallow and almond. That bar's pretty interesting. Go check out that Rocky Road flavor. It's on sale right now as well. It does contain nuts because I did say almonds, but you can go check it out at built.com. Use the promo code LOCKED15. You get 15% off your entire order at built.com. All right, Isaac Harris, thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Now podcast, a nightly recap of every NBA game with analysis from our local experts. It's free and available wherever you get your podcasts. All right, Isaac, let's play some more whiteboard games. The award that is most up in the air for you right now is... Yep, I failed the game. 3, 2, 1. Isaac went MVP, and I went improved.
Wow.
Improved is always up in the air for me because I don't know how people decide improved.
Okay.
Do you have an answer for most improved this year?
I'll save it because that's the next question. Is what?
Okay.
That's spoiler.
You think that one's the most locked in?
I do. Yeah, I think it's locked in. MVP. It could literally be like 4 or 5 dudes right now, right? I mean, Jason Tatum at the top.
Stop. Where's the no? Hold on.
Satnam.
Shame.
Jokic, Giannis, Embiid. We know that whole battle. You know, can Luka do something crazy towards the end of the season? Could they move up to like 3 and him have a shot? Is there somebody else on the out? Does DeRozan make some type of case for it?
He's going to be 5th no matter what happens.
Yeah. So I just think it's so much up in the air that these last, 15 games and who gets higher up in the standings could determine it.
One of my questions for my whiteboard was potentially going to be how much do wins factor in with the MVP conversation? Because right now at the end of Tuesday, Milwaukee has 43, Dallas has 42, Philly has 41, and Denver has 41 wins. It's not like any of these teams are any better than any of the other teams. You can't make an argument like, oh, the Bucks are so much better than the Nuggets right now. Honestly, the Bucks are way underperforming if you would look at their team compared to where the Nuggets are as far as just straight up wins. Philly is probably a little bit underperforming compared to where the Mavericks are or even the Nuggets. And so you look at that and like, how much does that really factor in? There's not anybody that can make that specific case. And so, it's really close right now. And I think I think it's just Jokic's, but the last 10 games, things could change.
Yeah, they very well could.
Next one, the award that is most locked in, the season-ending award that is most locked in is 3, 2, 1. Roy. I tried to do that my best Smash Brothers version, saying Roy's name.
Do you think Rookie of the Year is locked in?
Evan Mobley. There's no chance. No chance anyone else wins this award but
You
Evan
don't
Mobley.
think Cade could win this?
Nope. It's Evan Mobley's award.
Wow.
No shot. Yeah, shouts to
clip this and send it to Koo. I'm with you, bro. Cade's got this.
Shouts to Koo and shouts to maybe Sean Woodley with Scotty Barnes, but no, I think it's Evan Mobley's. The way that the Cavs have played, I think that just elevated him to a different level. He also, even though the Cavs have been not as good recently, Evan Mobley has still been as good. And I think sometimes media try to make the smart pick, and that's Evan Mobley is the smart pick. They don't do just the straight numbers for stuff like this anymore, but
okay.
For at least Rookie of the Year and things like that anymore. But
yeah,
I think Rookie of the Year is locked up.
Dang. Okay. I still think Cade has a good shot at that. But most improves, I think, in the bag, sign it, seal it, deliver it. It's the same. It's the one thing I'm gonna be like, all right, I was in front of this at the beginning of the year, and it's happened bigger than more than I could ever imagine. Ja Morant's got this in the bag.
You think so?
Oh, I think he
gets the most improved that Luka should have gotten 2 years ago.
What I think what Luka did early on
2 years ago. We had this exact conversation about Luka that we're gonna have about Ja.
But I think there's a difference in I think the level that Luka was at, even when he just started, was higher than what Ja was at when Ja started. I think that leap from where Ja was last year to he was good, borderline. He didn't make the All-Star team, right? Like he wasn't any of that. There's people having conversations of him being a top 7 player. So
I thought you were going to say better than Luka, because there is people having that conversation at the highest levels of ESPN, and that is Stephen A. Smith.
Come on, stop. But I just, for him to make that big of a leap to superstardom, to me, I think it's locked in. There's guys, Darius Garland, there's some other guys, but when you look at the award, you look at guys who've won this award, from Jokic to Giannis won it, to Siakam, to it's them jumping to that star level. I think it's locked in.
Is Ja a star? I'm just fueling the Mavs Grizzlies weird feud that their fans have.
Locked On Grizzlies might.
Sean Coleman and DeMichael Cole are coming after me. They're coming after me. All right. The Maverick closest to winning an award. This one is kind of interesting. It was interesting at one point, and now I don't think that it's as interesting as it could have been early in the season. 3, 2, 1. Oh, interesting. Isaac said Jason Kidd. I said Luka. I went with chalk and said Luka because he's going to get top 4 in MVP, and I think that's pretty close. The one that was interesting to me was Brunson for 6 man. He's just started too many games at this point.
What about Dinwiddie for 6 man though?
Can you win 6 man of the year starting 2 of the 10 games you've played with the team?
I looked at his number.
He started 4 games out of the 11 that he's played, and he started all 44 in Washington. So I don't know.
Whatever.
Sorry.
I just said Kidd. I don't think he's gonna win it, but I think he could get some love towards the end of the year. If they finish 3rd, what does that look like? Does Monty Williams have this locked in the bag? He probably does, and I love Monty.
You sure it's Monty?
I think it
might be Bickerstaff in Cleveland.
Oh yeah. They just have such a big lead as the 1 seed in the West.
But those 2 guys are definitely above Kidd and Coach of the Year.
Even Taylor Jenkins is doing great.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that's a good one.
A number 2 seed right now. So
well, Kidd is now 4th. Can we come up with another one that pushes Kidd down?
Luka was 4th on yours.
I was going to say if we push him one more down, Billy Donovan for the Bulls.
Sure.
Kidd is 4th now.
Kidd is 5th.
Anyone else?
I think
Ime. You give Ime any credit for what the Celtics have done the last stretch?
Some people were ready to write him off, but I think Luka's the right answer on that though. He'll be closer.
Yeah, he'll be up there. Couple more. We've done the MVP. Who will be the MVP this year? I guess we'll do it. How many times can we talk about the MVP? 3, 2, 1. You went with Giannis, and I picked Joker.
I think Giannis. I think they started to look better as of late, and they're only 2.5 back from Miami. I think they reclaim the number 1 seed in the East, and then when you look at his numbers, I think I think when it's all said and done, he could sneak away with this.
The guy doesn't stop. He has been relentless this season, no matter who was in the lineup or not. Without Brook Lopez this whole year, look at what Giannis has done. The case for Jokic is they have 2 less wins than what the Bucks are. I don't care if the Bucks finish number 1 in the East, because if the Nuggets have like 2 less wins than the Bucks, what the lineup that has been around Joker right now and his numbers compared to Giannis's numbers, that's insane to me. That is insane. And Jokic is putting up a season that we have not seen before.
As the 6th seed.
As a 6th seed. Still only 2 less wins than the Bucks.
That is pretty wild. All right, last one. When it's all said and done, who has more MVP trophies in their closet? Luka or Giannis?
Oh, my bias is showing on this one. 3, 2, 1. I'm picking Luka. My bias is showing. Luka, Isaac Harris, you picked Giannis. I know Giannis has won 2 already. He may win this year.
Let me point this. Giannis is 27, and he has a 2 trophy lead. Luka is 23 with 0.
Just turned 23, and he has not gotten serious about his physical fitness yet.
True.
Imagine if he goes to the Steve Nash, Dirk Nowitzki, I'm in the prime of my NBA career, so I'm going to start taking my body seriously camp. Like, if he goes to that camp, we're going to see a different Luka, and we're already seeing a really good Luka. Like, Luka, where when Giannis was Luka's age, let me just go pull up his stat line. When Giannis was Luka's age, he had just his first year making the All-Star team. He was averaging 22 points, 8 boards, 5 assists, and playing the 3 on the Milwaukee team, probably still with Jason Kidd. He had only made 1 All-Star team at that point and had not made an All-NBA. Luka is so far ahead of where Giannis was.
I agree with you. I think there's just so much that plays into it. That will Luka, will they be a 1 or 2 seed? Will the media vote for him? I think there is something with that, as like, is he as beloved with the media and around the league as Giannis is?
Well, you just excited a whole lot of YouTube commenters with that statement right there.
Because you obviously got to get the vote to win the award. So
do voters vote for European players, Isaac?
Oh gosh,
you guys know Giannis is a European player.
But no, I just I mean, I think it will be close, but there's just something about I just lean Giannis. He already has 2, so it's just so hard to win MVP awards that I feel like at 27 he's not done. So does he? How many MVPs does somebody end up with?
Luka's not done, but we are. Guys, thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. Now make your second listen Locked On NBA. Tomorrow I will be on it with an unknown guest because I have to figure out who it is. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
So
boom.